I think a lot of investors are making a giant mistake right now, and it's going to cost them millions of dollars. Today, we're going to talk about a stock called Tourmaline. It's one of Canada's natural gas giants. It is a huge player in this space. It stands to benefit from not one, but two major announcements that includes tens of billions of dollars in LNG funding. It stands to benefit from a massive reversal in the commodity price that it depends on, Canadian natural gas. And it's at a pretty cheap price, all things considered. And with all of that growth, with all of that potential, people are selling the stock because it's had kind of a tough 2025. And for a lot of investors that are a little bit short term, they haven't found value in holding it while other things have gone up. And I think selling now is just about the worst thing you could do because every sign points bullish. Everything shows this thing is going to be on the move up. If you haven't been paying attention to Tourmaline this year, here's the spark notes. Start of the year, everyone's bullish. LNG Canada Phase 1 is coming online in the summer. That's going to push up a huge, stable baseline demand for Canadian natural gas. It's going to push the price up. And everybody wants in on the action. Investors are buying up the stock. We're bidding up the price. We're seeing valuations expand a little bit. And importantly, we're seeing producers up here in Canada start to expand production. Now, if you've been paying attention, you know why this came back to bite them because unlike expectations, we didn't see that same increase in demand that we expected. And instead, we saw the price fall dramatically. I've got the chart here in front of me and you'll see things dropped in 2025. It's quite a low in contrast with 22 or 23. It kept moving down. And it did that because the summer this year was not as hot as it was expected to be. And so the amount of natural gas expected to be used to cool homes across North America just wasn't needed. Just wasn't there. And the demand that's going to be induced from things like AI, from things like LNG, well, that's not here right now. And a lot of players in natural gas depend on right now. And so companies like Tourmaline saw depressed, not just decreased, but really depressed margins. They saw a significant hit to their bottom line. They saw significant challenges, but they weren't exactly out. It's not like they massively slashed dividends and said it's the end of the world. They just saw things not go the way they wanted to. And investors got spooked. Investors sold the stock off considerably throughout the summer. If I show you the year-to-date stock chart, you're going to notice a couple big things. First, of course, you'll see the drop off after that Liberation Day announcement where we take the stock price, the Canadian stock price dropped from $70 to about $55, $57. Just a brutal drop off on the idea that maybe this was going to, either crush Canadian competitors or crush global energy demand, followed by the recovery that everybody else saw. But then, like I said, when that summer heat just didn't show up and these producers were saying, hey, we actually are producing more of this commodity and prices started to go down. Well, you saw the stock price just drop and drop and drop and drop until the lows at about $56, which is just about where it was in all the panic of Liberation Day. With that drop came a lot of negativity. People saying, oh, the natural gas story is over. LNG was a failure. And all of these negative investors, all these folks who just saw that short-term negativity, they failed to see what had actually happened. Because the summer didn't play out the way people expected it to. But that wasn't the only thing that held down the price of natural gas. Instead, we also saw massive projects being done all over North America in the LNG space, pushing back demand because instead they were doing things like optimization, like bringing new plants online, like bringing expansions online. And all of these actions all coincided with what was expected to be a high demand time when LNG was going to be an expensive thing to ship anyways. But because that didn't play out the way they expected it to, we saw the price crash, we saw stocks go down, and we saw a lot of producers, particularly American ones who are quite a bit more price conscious than Canadians, start to curtail their production. So we had demand push back. Now we have supply tailing off. I'm sure you can see where this is going to go. If I show you this graph one more time, I'm sure you can see what is expected to happen. right? Investors, experts across the board are thinking bullish. They're thinking the commodity price is going to go up. And man, depending on which forecast you follow, right, we could be talking anywhere in the range on AECO, which trades at a substantial discount to American natural gas pricing. You could be talking anywhere up to the $6.5, $7 range. To frame this in the current setting, right now, these companies are operating profitably with the AECO price in the $1 range. So now imagine what might happen if you 7x'd the profitability of a company like this. Am I saying that's going to happen tomorrow? No. But think about the story here. We are seeing LNG facilities ramping. The Americans are expected to be able to produce over 1 million tons of the stuff in the not so distant future. Millions of tons of this produced every year, maybe even in a shorter time frame. And with all of that comes new expansion in Mexico, new expansion in Canada, data centers demanding huge amounts. The backlog at GE alone is somewhere in the range of 8 billion cubic feet a day. Like, we're talking huge quantities. And this is a story we've told a couple times, and still people don't see why Tourmaline is such an interesting opportunity. I want to show you the last time that we saw natural gas pricing shoot upwards thanks to some short-term pressures. And of course, everybody remembers we saw a low, real low. Look at this. This is early March of 2020. Everything was bad, just about across the world. I mean, if you remember March of 2020, everything sucked. And then we saw the world reopen and 2020 play out, 2021. And then we saw, of course, what happened in Eastern Europe there with Russia. And man, and the price of this stock just exploded upwards. But imagine what would happen now if instead of a short-term geopolitical volatility moment, we saw long-term demand for a resource that needed to be produced to provide electricity in order to supplement basically the entire world's electricity demand for the next decade. I mean, most analysts are expecting there to be some sort of transition towards a world of nuclear and renewable fuels. But it's not happening now. It's not even going to happen in 5 or 10 years. We're talking a decade out. And while that might pose problems for folks building LNG terminals and investing in those, for producers, this is your golden ticket. So when somebody is turning around and saying, why are you buying natural gas stocks? Look at the mistake you've made accumulating shares over a period of time where the price has been low. Think about what the next 5 years are going to look like. Think about the people who really win in a gold rush. As the world consumes more and more power, it's not going to be the folks who are chasing the gold who are going to win. It's the folks making power. And who is going to be there at the forefront, providing a clean, stable set of resources at a crazy cheap price that can have a huge profit margin? It's going to be guys like Tourmaline. On top of that, they have a fantastic shareholder return. They're going to pay you at 6% dividend. They're going to pay you special dividend. Like, they are going to make you feel great holding the stock. They offer you the ability, as they transition into more condensates and they continue to take advantage of the liquids opportunity, they're going to offer you even more stability in the future than they did in the past. They're continuing to adapt to the current world, looking at what's going on with LNG. They made their move a little early, but now they're going to bear the fruit of that move as pricing does go up, and they've built that extra capacity. They have a massive, massive set of resource. They have a huge asset base that they can call upon for years, if not decades, and they have scale, which means that unlike a lot of producers that are smaller than them, they're not really at any risk of being bought out. Instead, they are an acquirer. They can go out there and get more assets in an environment where LNG is just about the only fuel that is actually going to get easily exported in Canada, where natural gas is a resource that sees a huge amount of future demand, both domestic and international, and where there seems to be consensus that folks like this need to exist, why would you not buy it at a crazy cheap price? Why would you not buy it over $10, $20 off of the highs when the next couple of years look even better than the last? That's my question. And when I see folks who are selling this stock, when they're buying in at 70 and they're selling in at a loss, I don't understand. Because I think those people just need to zoom out in order to see the huge value here. And I hope that if you're looking at something like this and you have the opportunity to do some research, that you come to the same kinds of conclusions. Because I really do think there's value. And depending on the kind of investor you are, maybe you're going to find that there's a spot for this in your portfolio. That's about all I have for you folks today. Let me know what you think about Tourmaline. Or honestly, this could have been a video about a lot of their peers, but I think Tourmaline really does exemplify this space in the best way. Let me know what other stocks I should be covering. We've got a couple videos in the pipeline coming from suggestions, so thank you so much for those. Please do drop those in the comments below. If you like what we do here, please do like the video. If you like covering these Canadian stocks, please subscribe to the channel. I hope I see you in the next one.